In response to Lu Yi's question, Demonic Chu continued to exhibit his masterful acting skills. He pretended to be shy, blushing as he said, "All right, you've seen through me. Then I won't hide it anymore. Because she is very beautiful, extremely powerful, and quite imposing. She is exactly my type. That is my preference." Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Lu Qingyu and Lu Yi looked at each other in confusion. "I have the same appearance as her, and my abilities are the same as well. In other words, I am her, and she is me." At this point, Lu Yi's expression changed slightly, as if she sensed something. She glanced at Xiao Zhan from head to toe, her pupils quiet for a moment before she spoke up to question him. Do you want to use this to make me jealous of myself and then execute your scheme?" Struck by her directness, Demonic Chu's face twisted slightly. Although he tried to appear calm, inside he was in turmoil. He secretly cursed. "This woman, I can't believe she reacted so quickly. She figured it out in no time. No, I must remain steadfast. I cannot be swayed." With this thought, Xiao Zhan was determined to win the Oscar for Best Actor of the Year. He adopted a frustrated demeanor, yawning and sighed lightly. "Fine, you can say whatever you want, as long as you're happy." Seeing Xiao Zhan's expression, Lu Yi couldn't help but be taken aback. She, the supreme divinity with both beauty and strength, thought, how could any man resist her enchanting beauty? Yet in this moment, Xiao Zhan appeared indifferent, even disdainful of her. Doubts about life began to creep into Lu Yi's heart. She felt an unfair sensation and thought to herself, "I'm standing next to him, and he actually starts to feel bored. He doesn't even pay attention to me. He dares to ignore me? Am I really that lacking? Is it true that I'm not as enchanting as that purple-clad sister of his?" The more she pondered, the more uncomfortable she felt. Angrily, she stared at Xiao Zhan and coldly called out, "Hey." But Xiao Zhan remained unfazed, continuing to immerse himself in his performance, pretending not to hear or see her. Ignored, Lu Yi was infuriated, her tone growing colder. "Hey, I'm calling you." Suddenly, Xiao Zhan reached out and grasped Lu Yi's wrist, pulling her close to him. He smirked and softly said, "My name is not He. Lu Yi, can you keep calling me that?" Before Xiao Zhan's unexpected action, Lu Yi didn't have time to react. Her cheeks involuntarily flushed. "Lu Yi, let's leave it at that. If there's nothing else, I will head back to cultivate." After saying this, Xiao Zhan decisively let go of her hand and turned to leave. Watching his back, Lu Yi's expression immediately darkened. She snapped, "Stop right there." Seeing Xiao Zhan continue to walk away, Lu Yi quickly moved and appeared in front of him, her gaze fixed intently on him as she coldly said, "I haven't let you go yet." Standing opposite each other at a distance so close that Xiao Zhan's nose almost brushed against Lu Yi's. Despite being so close, Xiao Zhan intentionally looked away, as if there were a stain on the other person's face. He said weakly, "Lu Yi, aren't you being a bit too overbearing? Sister Lu entrusted the matter to me and I accepted it. Am I not even allowed to return to cultivate?" Hearing this, Lu Yi's eyebrows immediately shot up. She stood firm in place, her cold gaze fixed on Xiao Zhan as she sternly commanded, "Look at me." Seeing Xiao Zhan's impatient demeanor, Lu Yi was frustrated but had no outlet for her anger. She suppressed her rage, took a deep breath, and grabbed his wrist to pull him away. In the tone of Lu Yi, there was a hint of anger as he said, "You don't want to make me blush, feel embarrassed, and have my heart race to you. Come on, follow me." Xiao Zhan, upon hearing this, pretended to be surprised and asked, "Where to?" Lu Yi coldly replied, "Don't ask." Without another word, Lu Yi reached out and opened the void, pulling Xiao Zhan into it. At that moment, Xiao Zhan unexpectedly turned his head back, gave a thumbs up to the readers, and lifted the corners of his mouth into a smug smile. He silently said, "True hunters often appear in the form of prey. Even if there's no chance to become prey, we must create an opportunity to become prey." 2 hours after Xiao Zhan left the room, celestial respected Master Shai Meng Yi finally arrived. She didn't come to instruct the villainous disciple in cultivation, but was sent by Tai Su Zi and Huolu Fi to specifically find Lu Qingyu. The reason was simple. The group of human race powerhouses wanted to pay their respects to the current supreme divinity. Shai Meng Yi was sent to gauge her thoughts. However, going back and forth, Shai Meng Yi did not see the villainous disciple Xiao Zhan or Lu Qingyu anywhere. She felt strange, gently furrowing her brows and thinking to herself, theoretically speaking, normally when I just appear, that villainous disciple would immediately notice me. Why hasn't he come to greet me yet? Moreover, Lu Qingyu, that supreme divinity, is here as well, so it's hard for me to use my divine sense to investigate. Just as Shai Meng Yi was thinking of how to handle it, Qin Yi ran over happily, holding a skewer of candied hawthorn. The little girl greeted her. "Hi, Grand Master." Shai Meng Yi nodded slightly and responded with a mem. Her phoenix eyes scanned Qin Yi from top to bottom, silently evaluating. Not bad. Yi is progressing very quickly. She has already reached the divine bridge realm. After finishing her assessment, Shimeng Yi smiled and asked Qin Yi, "Where's your master? Why don't I see him and the others?" Upon hearing this, Qin Yi looked a bit reluctant and shy, not daring to meet Shimeng Yi's gaze, hesitantly replied, "Master He has gone out for a bit." In her heart, Lai anxiously thought, Xiao Zhan uncle said the celestial master really hates uncle and the other sisters playing around. Therefore, I can't let the celestial master know that Xiao Zhan uncle and sister Lu in the white dress went out. Otherwise, the celestial master will get angry again. Whenever the celestial master gets angry, Xiao Zhan uncle gets lectured by the celestial master. The next day he returns, his face is always not good. He must have been severely scolded. So as long as I tell a lie, Xiao Zhan uncle won't be lectured anymore. Shimeng Yi did not notice that the little girl Yi was acting strangely. She continued to ask the girl, "Did he go outside? Didn't he say where he was going?" Qin Yi hurriedly shook her head, her expression full of confusion as she replied, "Lai doesn't know either. Uncle only said he wanted to go out, but didn't say where." Shimeng Yi let out a sigh, feeling a bit sad, and thought to herself, "Forget it. After all, I'm not here to look for him." Thinking of this, she reached out to pat Yi's head, smiled, and asked, "Is Lu Qingyu here? I have something to discuss with her." Yi continued to shake her head, trying to maintain a calm expression, and replied with a smile, "No, Sister Lu isn't here either. Celestial Master, you know that Sister Lu is very strong. Her whereabouts are mysterious all day long, coming and going, and no one knows her movements." Hearing this, Shimeng Yi felt something was off. She thought to herself, "Why does this situation seem so coincidental?" Both of them disappeared. Could they have gone together? On the face of the celestial maiden, Shimeng Yi appeared a hint of gloom. She smiled gently and quietly asked Yi, "Tell me, did they go out together?" That gentle smile was no different from that of a cruel stepmother, causing Qin Yi to instinctively feel a chill down her spine. However, with an uncle who is an actor, at least the student should learn a bit of acting. The girl still tried to appear calm and nonchalant as she replied, "It seems the two of them didn't go together. It wasn't even dawn yet, and Uncle Xiao Zhan was already outside, while Sister Lu was still here just a moment ago." Hearing Qin Yi say this, the celestial respected master Shimeng Yi nodded slightly. She felt that a little girl who had just entered her teenage years like Qin Yi wouldn't dare to deceive her. Setting aside her suspicions, Shimeng Yi instructed Yi on a few things related to cultivation before quickly leaving. At the same time, in the south, in Xu Feng City, an ancient city with a long history, this city has existed since the primordial era of Lu Qingyu. It was built in a mountain gorge, completely surrounded by mountains. The most common type of tree here is the maple. At this moment in the street, Lu Yi wore a white dress, holding Xiao Zhan's wrist and pulling him through the streets. Her striking beauty and outstanding demeanor attracted quite a few cultivators in the city. Xiao Zhan had an unwilling expression, occasionally yawning to show that he was extremely bored. His attitude made Lu Yi even angrier. She glared at him and silently cursed. "You brat, what do you mean by this? Do you find it boring to be with me? Meanwhile, you are happily laughing and chatting with that purple-dressed enchantress. Why do you treat me so differently?" Even though she suspected that Xiao Zhan was intentionally trying to provoke her in this way, she still felt uncomfortable, as if she had been defeated by another aspect of herself. This feeling would make anyone feel like she did. With her proud and competitive nature, she refused to accept defeat. Suddenly, Lu Yi turned around and looked straight at Xiao Zhan, saying, "Hug me." Xiao Zhan was taken aback and exclaimed, "What?" Lu Yi's face was as cold as ice, her eyes filled with killing intent as she almost spat out each word. "I said you hug me, didn't you hear me?" Lu Yi initially thought that by being so proactive, this brat would be scared and obediently comply, then revealed his true face. But she didn't expect Xiao Zhan to shake his head, even raising his fan to cover his face, pouting and saying, "I don't want to. I don't want to." Lu Yi, men and women should maintain a proper distance. Please have some self-respect. Xiao Zhan's gaze turned elsewhere, with a hint of disdain evident on his face. Seeing this, Lu Yi frowned slightly, feeling confused and thinking to herself, "What does he mean by this? Does he despise me? On what basis?" Poor Lu Yi, standing before the black wolf named Xiao Zhan, she became as innocent as a young rabbit. Her blue eyes stared intently at him. Lu Yi boldly grasped Xiao Zhan's hand and placed it on her slender waist, akin to that of a victorious secret model. Her gaze seemed to penetrate his soul as she coldly spoke. "Kid, you better not challenge my limits of tolerance." Xiao Zhan, feeling her waist, was indeed enjoying the sensation. He secretly chuckled to himself, but maintained an indifferent expression and coldly replied, Lu Yi, someone like you, even if you have my body, can never possess my heart. Lu Yi was so furious that her eyes twitched slightly. Her movements became stiff. She grabbed Xiao Zhan's arm to pull him away and angrily scolded, You brat! How dare you speak so shamelessly? Do you believe I can chant a spell to ensure you can never touch a woman for the rest of your life? Hearing that, Xiao Zhan took a deep breath and dared not say much more. He understood that for Lu Yi, those words were not meant to intimidate. She was someone who delivered on her promises. In his heart, Xiao Zhan cursed. This aunt is really ruthless. In a small alley in Chu Feng City, 3 figures were walking when they suddenly stopped. Yao Guang, the holy master, spoke up with a face full of fear. Tian Hong, brother, can you feel it too? Yi Tian Hong nodded and replied, Yes, it seems that the supreme divinity we wish to visit is currently in Chu Feng City. Jiang Wu Di, upon hearing this, nodded and smiled. What a coincidence. Let's go pay our respects. However, this city is too large. Finding one person is not an easy task. If we use spiritual sense to probe, what do you think? This suggestion from Yao Guang was immediately shaken off by Yi Tian Hong. No, we can't. We don't know the nature of that supreme divinity. If we carelessly use spiritual sense and get exposed, it could lead to trouble. If we anger that supreme divinity, then we are doomed. Jiang Wudi nodded in agreement. Tian Hong is right. Let's take our time searching. If we can't find them, we can wait at the Tai Su Holy Ground. Let's decide on that. After reaching a consensus, the 3 divine kings began to stroll around Chu Feng City. 2 hours later, Yao Guang Holy Master was walking when he suddenly stopped. With a look of astonishment in his eyes, he stammered, I'm not seeing things, am I? In front of the 3 divine kings stood none other than Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi. They were behaving very intimately, each holding a stick of candied hawthorn. From a distance, they looked like a couple on a date. Yao Guang Holy Master continually rubbed his eyes and stammered, Tian Hong, brother, wounded brother, I seen things. The person that Xiao Zhan is hugging is the supreme divinity, right? Yi Tian Hong also stood frozen, struggling to remain calm as he replied, No, the woman in Xiao Zhan's arms is the Taudi Empress, a figure who once had the qualifications to compete for the position of Celestial Emperor during the Primordial Era, a person from legend, and now she's following this junior Xiao Zhan. Moreover, looking at the expression on that junior's face, he seems unwilling. Oh my, this world is really too crazy. At this point, Jiang Wude turned around and looked at Yi Tian Hong, stammering, gentlemen, do we still want to proceed to pay our respects? Yi Tian Hong lightly scolded. What's there to pay respects for? They are enjoying their own world, and leaving now would just bring trouble upon themselves. Yao Guang Holy Master continued. The ancients recorded that the Celestial Emperor is an incredibly beautiful person, a being of dual souls. At times, she is stunningly graceful, and at other times, she is as cold as ice. The Celestial Emperor, clad in purple, cultivates the unfettered path and possesses an extremely dark temperament, often deceiving and killing those she finds displeasing. The Frozen Soul Taudi cultivates the path of no sentiment, with a chilling personality, aggressive strategies, and decisive brutality. She made significant contributions during the Primordial Era in fighting against monsters, earning the title of Mysterious Woman. I see that this one in the white dress is certainly Frozen Soul, without a doubt. We should head to Tai Su Holy Ground instead, to avoid angering this displeased empress. By the way, remember to instruct the disciples in the clan well when you get home, so as not to offend the Tai Su Holy Son. We definitely cannot provoke him. After saying this, the 3 divine kings immediately left Chu Feng City. At this moment, in the highest pavilion of Chu Feng City, Lu Yi was holding a skewer of candy haws. She gently licked the sweet treat with her moist tongue, savoring the sweetness it offered. For some reason, she loved this dish so much. Demonic Chu leaned against a wooden pillar with his eyes closed, not saying a word. Lu Yi's beautiful eyes slightly moved, glancing at him and saying, You little brat, it's getting dark soon. You and your sister Lu are about to lose this bet. Aren't you even a little anxious? Demonic Chu still appeared indifferent and casually replied, Do you think I would care? Even if I wanted to make you blush, I wouldn't use a betting method. That would be disrespectful to you, Lu Yi. I have many flaws, but I also have my fair share of strengths. One of them is respecting women. Upon hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Lu Yi's expression remained blank, her voice carrying a hint of surprise as she exclaimed, If it's not for betting, then how would you do it? Xiao Zhan smiled and calmly said, Do you want to know? Before Lu Yi could respond, best actor Xiao Zhan sighed lightly, the corner of his mouth curling into a self-mocking smile. I'm not a love saint. How could I have the means to make every woman in the world love me? Hearing this, Lu Yi's expression turned cold, a mocking smile on her face. At least you know yourself. Xiao Zhan continued. A higher realm and immortality are what I pursue in my lifetime. Love is just superfluous. I would throw it all away. At this point, Best Actor Xiao Zhan turned around, his deep gaze looking into the distance. Lu Yi, who practiced the path of no sentiment, pursued the natural heavenly Tao. As for your sister Lu, who practiced the unfettered path, she sought straightforward freedom. Lu Yi said to Xiao Zhan in a normal tone, "That's right. Did she tell you all of this? Your purpose from the beginning was destined for failure, because I am not moved by anyone." Xiao Zhan suddenly laughed, slowly raising his two hands as if embracing a vast cosmic illusion appearing before him. His voice echoed, "All things in the universe coexist and restrain each other. Extremes counteract. In other words, they all depend on and support one another. Lu Yi, have you ever thought that the path of no sentiment, when it reaches its end, may be love, and that the unfettered path in the end might actually be indifference? On the day your sister Lu sees through the worldly matters, and at the same time you comprehend the feelings within indifference, the two sides combine as one. Perhaps that is the day you attain enlightenment." Hearing Xiao Zhan say that, Lu Yi was immediately taken aback. In her mind, it felt as if a flash of lightning had struck. Even Sister Lu, deep within her, was lost in deep thought, as she had already had this speculation in a vague manner. That was why she had asked Xiao Zhan to flirt with a different side of herself. But what she absolutely did not expect was that Xiao Zhan could articulate the crux of the matter. How can you assert that you are heartless without experiencing love? How can you claim to be free and unrestrained without seeing through the worldly affairs? Seeing Lu Yi lost in contemplation, Xiao Zhan couldn't help but feel delighted. He slightly curled the corners of his mouth, secretly thinking, looking at her expression, perhaps I've stumbled upon the crux by accident. Turns out those years of watching manhwa and Adonis recap weren't in vain. At that moment, the mischievous system appeared, laughing in his face. "Ha ha ha, you really are so lucky, hitting the target in one go." Lu Qingyu, who is Lu Yi, seemed to catch on to something. She stared at Xiao Zhan and after a long while finally asked, "So what should I do?" Best Actor Xiao Zhan feigned seriousness, but inside he was secretly pleased. Not an easy task. Finally, I brought up the key point. After working hard and acting all day, now is the time to reap the rewards. Having thought this, Xiao Zhan calmly asked, "Lu Yi, do you dislike me?" Lu Yi immediately shook her head and replied lightly, "I do not dislike you. This feeling has long been discarded by me." Xiao Zhan continued to ask, "Then have you been acquainted with any other men?" Lu Yi shook her head once more because the people she knew were most likely buried in the river of time. "So at this moment, I am the only one and also the man you are relatively familiar with, right?" Lu Yi remained silent, only nodding slightly. Best Actor Xiao Zhan immediately became excited upon seeing this. He squinted his eyes and said with a smile, "How about this? You give me the supreme divinity compass. I will find a way to make you fall in love with me. In this way, won't you experience what love is like?" Xiao Zhan smirked with a cunning smile. He thought to himself, this tactic is called turning passive into active. In fact, from the very beginning, I never thought I could make Lu Yi blush in just one day. Since the very start, my goal has been very clear. First, I will change Lu Yi's mood so that she cannot face me with the same mindset as before. Then, I will manipulate her emotions, making her realize that demonic Chu is very special, indeed, one of a kind. In this way, I can not only obtain the supreme divinity compass from Lu Yi, but also have a legitimate excuse to flirt with her. It's truly a 2-for-1 deal. If I can win over Lu Yi, then Sister Lu is not far behind, right? Buy one, get one free, one arrow hitting 3 birds. Heh! With the supreme divinity wife in hand, demonic Chu will be invincible. The more Xiao Zhan thought about it, the more excited he became. After a long silence of contemplation, Lu Yi seemed to find Xiao Zhan's idea somewhat feasible. She slowly said, "What you say makes a lot of sense. If one does not experience emotion, how can one cultivate the path of no sentiment? Can you really help me understand love?" Best Actor Xiao Zhan smiled confidently, winked at Lu Yi, and gave an oak sign. "Lu Yi, trust me. My abilities you may have already experienced. There is absolutely no problem." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi thought without any doubt that's true, because there is no shortage of women around him. Mo Fa Yan, Yao Si Holy Daughter, and Shai Meng Yi are just a few. Even a woman like Tai Su Zi could charm. Perhaps he really has some extraordinary skills. After thinking for a moment, Lu Qingyu, also known as Lu Yi, gently waved her hand. The supreme divinity level compass immediately appeared. She directly handed it to Xiao Zhan, saying, This supreme divinity level compass belongs to you. You are responsible for helping me understand what love is. Xiao Zhan looked happy and immediately took the compass with both hands, replying, "All right." At that moment, Sister Lu was in a waiting state, and upon witnessing this scene, she immediately became furious and shouted loudly, "Hey, hey, hey, you two are too much. How dare you conduct a transaction right in front of me? Do you treat me like air? Xiao Zhan, you dare to betray me, eating and taking like that? What a trick." Hearing Sister Lu's endless complaints, Lu Yi, annoyed, snapped back, "Shut up! You lost. So just wait there patiently for a month." Sister Lu became even angrier, huffing and said, "I'm not satisfied. You tell Xiao Zhan that his little brat dares to betray me. Tell him to just wait and enjoy himself. Very good, very good. When my older sister comes out, I will definitely make him pay." Immediately after, Lu Yi conveyed Sister Lu's words to Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan smiled bitterly and said, "Sister Lu, don't be angry. I'm doing this for you all." Although she was very angry, Sister Lu could do nothing but accept the silence in frustration. At this moment, Lu Yi could no longer be patient. Faced with the desire to reach a higher realm, along with her unwavering belief in immortality and the tempting words of Xiao Zhan, Lu Qingyu, she decided to try an experiment. She turned to Xiao Zhan and asked, "What are you going to do?" Best actor Xiao Zhan appeared very serious and confidently replied, "During this time, I will do a few intimate gestures with you. You must ensure that you won't attack me." Xiao Zhan forced a smile and thought to himself, "With this petite body of mine, how could I withstand the torment of a supreme divinity powerhouse?" Lu Yi quietly thought for a moment before reluctantly nodding. "As long as you can make me love you, you can do anything. But don't do any excessive movements, otherwise I can't guarantee your safety." Hearing this, Xiao Zhan was startled and asked nervously, "What are excessive movements? If so, it will be very difficult for me to work with you. Or should I return the compass to you?" Lu Yi immediately frowned, awkwardly closed her eyes, and stammered to Xiao Zhan, "That is, you and Master. You do embarrassing things like that. You can't do it with me." Xiao Zhan listened to these words and immediately fell into a daze. Big question marks couldn't help but appear in his mind. With a twisted face, he silently cursed. What does Lu Yi mean by this? Could it be that she has been sneaking peeks at me? Damn it. Did she see me supporting myself against the wall when I went outside? Huff. This infuriates me. If I could handle you, I would even want to kill you to shut you up. Seeing Xiao Zhan's expression, Lu Yi shyly spoke up to explain, "It's not me, it's your older sister in the purple dress who did it." Xiao Zhan embarrassingly covered his face with his hands and asked, "How much have you all actually seen?" Lu Yi candidly replied, "We really do know that every time you go outside, you lean against the wall." Lu Yi curiously asked further, "You are obviously of the primordial sacred constitution with an extremely strong physical body. Why are you so weak? Does it take a lot of physical energy?" Xiao Zhan rubbed his temples, his voice a mix of anger and grievance. "If there is anyone to blame, it's her for sealing my cultivation, not me." Lu Yi pouted and exposed the harsh truth. "She doesn't regularly seal your cultivation either." Xiao Zhan, with a gloomy expression, gritted his teeth and angrily shouted, "You all." At this point, Best Actor Xiao Zhan tried to swallow his humiliation, quickly regaining his composure and speaking. "All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's discuss how you can love me." Lu Yi, with her delicate and charming appearance, looked at Xiao Zhan and lightly explained, "Oh," then asked, "What do you want to do?" As soon as Lu Yi finished speaking, Best Actor Xiao Zhan unexpectedly wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her into his embrace. Lu Yi remained unfazed, her indifferent gaze fixed on Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan smiled slightly and asked, "Well, do you feel anything?" Lu Yi, with an expressionless face, shook her head. Not willing to give up, Xiao Zhan decided to take a further step. He slowly leaned his face closer to Lu Yi's, with their noses barely apart. However, Lu Yi's expression remained unchanged, as cold as a piece of wood. Seeing this, Best Actor Xiao Zhan decided to go big. He gently placed a kiss on Lu Yi's cheek, yet she remained cold and unresponsive. Feeling it was still not enough, Xiao Zhan boldly continued kissing the sweet, plump lips of Lu Yi. This was the first time Demonic Chu had taken the initiative to get close to a supreme divinity. His cheeks involuntarily flushed, and he secretly cheered. Cold, sweet, truly amazing. Inside Lu Yi's heart, Sister Lu couldn't help but angrily shout, "Hey, that's my first kiss. Stop it right now." Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi finally parted after a long moment, but when he noticed that Lu Yi still wore a blank expression, lost in thought as if recalling the lyrics of the song called Emotionless, Demonic Chu was somewhat surprised and asked, "Still feeling nothing?" Lu Yi softly nodded in response, yeah. Hearing this, Xiao Zhan looked saddened, sighing softly. It seems, Lu Yi, you need long-term treatment. Your condition is quite serious and it's not easy to handle. Upon hearing this, Lu Yi's brows furrowed, and she immediately asked, what should we do now? You're not trying to trick me, are you? Xiao Zhan quickly replied, of course not. I can swear before heavenly Tao. So, can you trust me now? Inside Lu Yi's heart, Lu Qingyu angrily scolded, don't trust him. You're such a fool. He's deceiving you. But ignoring Sister Lu's advice, Lu Yi still nodded, showing her trust in Xiao Zhan. Demonic Chu continued to make a suggestion. How about this, in a few days, you come with me to a place. Once we get there, I guarantee you will love me. Lu Yi tilted his head, thought for a moment, and then nodded in agreement. Night fell. After a long day of dating with Lu Qingyu and Lu Yi, Demonic Chu strolled alone to the cave dwelling of Xi Meng Yi. As he walked, he happily thought, I've now broken through to the godly power realm. Tomorrow morning, I will take Lu Yi and head to Tian Qiong City to search for the corpse of that primordial sacred constitution. It is protected by a supreme divinity. Let's see who dares to touch me. Even if a divine king comes, they will all become my materials. The more he thought, the more excited Xiao Zhan felt. In the middle of the night, he laughed maniacally like a madman. When he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he boldly pushed open the door, seeing Master Heavenly Fragrance sitting on the throne like a celestial maiden descending to the mortal realm. He smiled nonchalantly and said, Master, I have come to seek your guidance. Did you know I would come? Is that why you sat here waiting to seduce me? Just as Xiao Zhan said, Xi Meng Yi was indeed waiting for him on purpose, but she had long ceased to notice that Xiao Zhan had finally returned to see her. Meng Yi glared at him and coldly scolded, Villainous disciple, you must be dreaming. Who has the free time to specially wait for you? As soon as she finished speaking, Xi Meng Yi slowly stepped down from the throne. She walked slowly to where Xiao Zhan was standing, then gently leaned her head close to his collar, taking a deep breath. This gesture resembled that of a wife checking to see if her husband was cheating. A moment later, Xi Meng Yi lifted her head, but her delicate brows immediately furrowed. Her eyes were filled with suspicion as she looked at Xiao Zhan and coldly asked, Does Lu Qingyu have such a strong temptation for you? You've been with her all day, and you smell just like her. Upon hearing this, Xiao Zhan couldn't help but feel guilty. He immediately wrapped his arms around Meng Yi's waist, pulling her close to him with a smile, and said, I just went to learn cultivation experience from Lu Yi. Meng Yi, stop being jealous for no reason. Xi Meng Yi, with her slim waist slightly twisting, slipped out of his grasp. She pushed him away and turned her face, pouting and saying, that's easy to say. Who knows what kind of experience you were seeking from her? Xiao Zhan, thick-skinned, quickly took hold of Meng Yi's hands, smiling and flattering. Don't push me away, and don't be angry with me anymore. I came here to say goodbye to you. Early tomorrow morning, I will be going to Tian Qiong City. Xi Meng Yi was startled and suspicious as she asked, Aren't you just back from the Holy Ground? Why do you want to go again? Right now, both barbarian tribes want your life. You have to be careful. If you go to Tian Qiong City, you might be targeted by Divine King barbarians. I don't agree to let you go. Xiao Zhan gently caressed Meng Yi's face with his finger and smiled at her affectionately. Are you worried about me like this? Hearing this, Xi Meng Yi glared at Xiao Zhan, her small mouth opened slightly as she nibbled lightly on his finger, her voice filled with love and hate. You think too much. I wish you could die out there. The person I hate the most in this world is you. At this point, she didn't dare to continue, only keeping it in her heart. The person I like the most is also you. Xi Meng Yi continued to look at Xiao Zhan arrogantly and asked, Tell me, what do you plan to do there? Xiao Zhan chuckled and replied, Meng Yi, don't worry, my purpose isn't to cultivate, but to collect the body of the primordial sacred constitution. This time I'm not going alone. Xi Meng Yi immediately sensed something was wrong. She grabbed Xiao Zhan's waist with her right hand and twisted it, her phoenix eyes glaring at him. The villainous disciple asked coldly, Quickly tell me, who are you going with? Mo Fai Yan? No. That's not right. Although she is a great saint of the 3rd level, she cannot protect you completely now. It must be Lu Qingyu, right? The demoness Xi Meng Yi felt a surge of jealousy. She continued to twist Xiao Zhan's waist with great pain. Demonic Chu replied awkwardly with a distorted expression. It's her. If it weren't for her, who else could I take? Am I supposed to take Tai Su Zi? I took her with me not just because she is the supreme divinity, that no one would dare to touch me, right? Upon hearing this, Xi Meng Yi couldn't help but shudder slightly. She immediately let go and a look of disappointment appeared on her face. Am I really that useless? Right now, I don't even have the qualifications to protect you. Xi Meng Yi understood in her heart. Ho Lu Fei and Lu Qingyu, Those two women could help Xiao Zhan during crucial moments to withstand the raging waves and keep him safe, but she couldn't do that. As the cultivation of the villainous disciple continued to rise, his ability to cause trouble also increased day by day. A mere great saint like her ultimately remained insignificant. If she had previously tried hard to become stronger, just for the sake of power now, her purpose for wanting to become strong had unconsciously changed. She wanted to become stronger in hopes of being able to help her own villainous disciple at crucial moments, as well as to protect the child of hers and his in her womb. Xi Meng Yi hated that she could not immediately break through to Divine King. In that way, she would have the ability to protect the villainous disciple. Unfortunately, due to a lack of heavenly opportunities in this lifetime, she could only remain at the Great Saint Great Peak. When Xiao Zhan noticed that Meng Yi seemed disappointed, he immediately approached her, reached out, and patted her gently. "You don't need to blame yourself for not protecting me. I am a true man. How could I let a woman protect me? I am not the type of man who clings to women. Meng Yi, wait for me to grow up, and I will protect you. All you need to do is always be as beautiful as a flower and give me a lovely child." Xi Meng Yi felt her lips twitch awkwardly at these words. Her heart could not help but race wildly. She hurriedly pushed Xiao Zhan away, turning her face in embarrassment and pretending to scold him. "Go away, I never thought about protecting you. Who wants to give you a child? Stop dreaming." Xiao Zhan knew Meng Yi was proud and didn't take her words to heart. He then wrapped his arms around Meng Yi's waist and smiled wickedly. "Master, is it late? Why don't you take advantage of this beautiful moment to guide your disciple in cultivation?" The villainous disciple Chu spoke while helping Xi Meng Yi back to bed. Master Meng Yi also knew what this villainous disciple wanted to do, and she did not speak out against it. Perhaps this farewell would mean a long time before they could meet again. Xiao Zhan gently pushed Xi Meng Yi down onto the bed, a wicked glint in his eyes as he looked at her and smiled. "Tomorrow when I leave, he won't teach me. I fear your master will have to wait a long time." Xi Meng Yi's face flushed, and she softly scolded the villainous disciple. Villainous disciple. Once again, the room was filled with heavy breaths, mingled with the sounds of "ah" echoing throughout the night as they could barely walk out of the room while still wanting more. The primordial sacred constitution might be able to handle it, but a normal person would surely be paralyzed. Hey! 7 days later, Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi finally arrived at Tian Yuan City. Originally, Lu Yi could have taken Xiao Zhan to their destination in just a few hours, but Xiao Zhan deliberately delayed their arrival by 7 days. His intention for doing so was to prevent the powerful members of the barbarian clan from learning of his whereabouts. Tian Yuan City is located in Baiyu at the extreme Baizhd. The entire city wall is covered in snow. It is a massive city wall that separates two barbarian tribes from the human realm on either side. Above the city wall, there are countless forbidden enchantments, especially the flying prohibition spells. No matter who it is, there is no way to fly over the city wall from above. Even Lu Yi is unable to destroy this city wall. At this moment, Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi slowly approached the city gate. As soon as they arrived, they were immediately stopped by the gatekeeper. The city guard has a cultivation level of low sake mid-stage named Zhang Tai, who is the squad leader of the 4th Battalion of the 3rd Army under General Jiang Qi. Seeing Xiao Zhan approaching, he leisurely bent over with his hands clasped in greeting and said, "May I ask if you are Tai Su Holy Son?" Upon being recognized, Xiao Zhan was not surprised. He maintained a calm expression and asked Zhang Tai, "Do you know me?" Zhang Tai continued to show respect towards Xiao Zhan, bowing as he replied, "The Holy Son's great name has long been heard in Tian Yuan City. To say I do not know would be truly disrespectful. You deceived and killed more than 10 great saints of the monster tribe in the secret realm. This achievement is truly exhilarating. In Tian Yuan City, my brothers hold the Holy Son's name in great esteem. Now that I see your true form here, I momentarily forgot the level of formalities. Please forgive me, Holy Son." Xiao Zhan nodded and replied, "There is nothing to worry about. You don't need to be concerned." Zhang Tai continued to speak. "My name is Zhang Tai. I am the squad leader of the 3rd Legion under General Jiang Qi. The Jiang Qi General Army is aware that the Holy Son is coming to Tian Yuan City, so they specifically instructed me to invite you over." Xiao Zhan nodded in satisfaction. "Good, if he wants to leave the city walls in the future, he obviously needs the approval of the higher-ups in Tian Yuan City, so meeting and building a relationship a bit is not a bad idea." At this moment, Zhang Tai looked up and glanced at Lu Yi standing next to him. Xiao Zhan asked, "Holy Son, may I know who this is?" Xiao Zhan reached out and wrapped his arm around Lu Yi's waist, pulling her closer to him. Seeing this, Lu Yi did not resist maintaining her cold expression without any emotion, allowing Xiao Zhan to do as he pleased. Xiao Zhan smiled casually and said, This is my partner. Her name is Yu King He. Upon hearing this, Jiang Tai immediately felt awkward, scratching his head and reacting. So she is the Holy Sun's partner. I apologize for my inattentiveness. If that's the case, please both of you come to our 3rd Legion camp. As Jiang Tai spoke, he gestured his hand to invite them. After Jiang Tai turned away, Lu Yi quietly asked Xiao Zhan, "Why did you give me the name Yu King He?" Xiao Zhan replied with a sly smile, "Because I want to arrange flowers." Hearing this, Lu Yi's face was filled with confusion. She could not understand the meaning behind Xiao Zhan's words. However, she felt that this probably wasn't something nice. Nevertheless, she didn't pay much attention to it. Xiao Zhan continued to hold Lu Yi's waist as the two followed Jiang Tai straight to the military camp of the 3rd Legion. The barracks of the 3rd Legion were not very far from the Tianyuan city gate. After a while, Jiang Tai led Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi to the center of the barracks. In front of them stood a magnificent and grand building. This was the residence of Jiang Qi, the great saint and commander of the 3rd Legion. Jiang Tai immediately signaled for Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi to stop. "Holy Sun, we have arrived." Xiao Zhan wanted to enter alone, so he instructed Lu Yi, "Wait for me out here for a moment. I will call you if something comes up." Lu Yi did not mind Xiao Zhan's new way of addressing her. She nodded in agreement and responded. Demonic Chu lifted the curtain and casually walked in. Jiang Qi, the great saint, immediately smiled happily upon seeing Xiao Zhan and said, "Xiao Zhan, you have finally arrived. This is our first private meeting. I have heard of your achievements before. You are truly remarkable." As Jiang Qi spoke, he gently adjusted Xiao Zhan's jacket. In response to the great saint's intimate actions, Xiao Zhan did not resist and smiled, saying, "Senior Jiang Qi has guarded Tianyuan City for hundreds of years. I respect you immensely. I have come here this time for experience and hope you will assist me more." Hearing this, Jiang Qi immediately smiled gently. "The Holy Sun is being too polite. You are a noble Holy Sun, and when you come to Tianyuan City, you are expected to hold a position. How about this? You can hang your name in my 3rd Legion. Currently, there is no one for Tai Su Holy Ground to guard this place. The honor of hanging your name here can take care of you a bit, ensuring that some blind individuals do not trouble you. Rest assured, I will not restrict your freedom." Upon hearing this, Xiao Zhan immediately nodded in agreement, smiling happily as he replied, "I was planning to do this. Thank you, Senior Jiang Qi, for your concern." As soon as Xiao Zhan finished speaking, Jiang Qi took out a black token from his storage ring and handed it to Xiao Zhan. "All right, take this token. You are now a member of my 3rd Legion." Xiao Zhan reached out to take the military token from within, instantly receiving a series of information in his mind, such as the name Xiao Zhan, soldier rank, belonging to the 3rd Legion, merit points, 0. Jiang Qi, great saint, looked at Xiao Zhan and sighed, saying, "Ah, if you could have arrived a bit earlier and then taken up a position in Tianyuan City, by the time you lured and killed over 10 great saints in the secret realm, you would have already accumulated quite a few merit points, which could help you exchange for many good items. I tried to negotiate on your behalf to record your achievements here, but the other rulers disagreed. Even the Divine King who oversees this place disagreed, saying that you hold no position in Tianyuan City, not even as a guard soldier, so they would not count any merit points for you." Xiao Zhan felt a sense of regret in his heart. Although he did not fully understand the concept of merit points, he could still infer the terrifying amount of merit points that would come from eliminating over 10 great saints. Jiang Qi, great saint, worried that Xiao Zhan might harbor resentment and continued to comfort him. "Holy Sun, with your abilities, reclaiming that large amount of merit points is just a matter of time. At that point, no one will be able to say anything. Holy Sun, now that you are here, why not follow me to fight or take a stroll around the merit hall for a while?" Xiao Zhan nodded in agreement upon hearing this. He had wanted to go there to see for himself for a long time. Jiang Qi, the great saint, tore open the void, and in an instant, she brought Xiao Zhan to the Grand Hall of Achievements. Here stood a tower with 7 stories, inside which were 7 spatial formations far larger than the outside. Xiao Zhan tilted his head to look up, and his eyes couldn't hide his astonishment as he thought, unexpectedly, merit points can be exchanged for such good items. What a pity. At that moment, a series of messages flooded into Xiao Zhan's mind. Eliminating a barbarian in the Lunhai boundary grants 1 merit point. Eliminating a barbarian in the Divine Bridge realm grants 5 merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Transcendent realm grants 10 merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Dao Palace realm grants 50 merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Godly Power realm grants 500 merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Low Saint realm grants 50,000 merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Great Saint realm grants 5 million merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Divine King realm grants 5 billion merit points. Eliminating a barbarian in the Supreme Divinity realm grants 50 billion merit points. Jiang Qi Great Saint smiled and explained to Xiao Zhan, "This is the reward rule of Tian Yuan City. In the Dial era, Supreme Divinity did not manifest, so there were no individuals who could kill a Supreme Divinity. The person with the highest military achievements in our 3rd Legion is not me, but the previous leader of the 3rd Legion, Zhen Baiwan." Hearing this familiar name, an image of Tian Zhen Jun appeared in Xiao Zhan's mind. He truly did not expect that Zhen Baiwan was the ruler of the 3rd Legion in Tian Yuan City. Half an hour later, Xiao Zhan and Lu Yi bid farewell to Jiang Qi Great Saint, and the two quietly left Tian Yuan City. Lu Yi, with an expressionless face, looked at Xiao Zhan and asked in confusion, "Do you still want to earn military points?" Xiao Zhan nodded with a smile and replied, "If there is a benefit and I don't take it, I would be a hero to them. How could I let it go?" Xiao Zhan secretly thought with a cold smile. Eliminating barbarians not only allows for training troops to plundering, but also helps refine essence crystals. Now there is one more advantage, which is the ability to exchange for merit points. One arrow hitting 3 targets is truly fantastic. I need to quickly think of a way to take down some powerful barbarians. Ideally, I would encounter a great saint. Of course, if there's a divine king, it couldn't be better. Killing a divine king would yield 50 billion military points. If I convert all that into divine spiritual stones, how many points would I break through? The more I think, the more excited Xiao Zhan becomes. At the same time, on the monster ship Land of Monsters, Mrs. Yu received intelligence from the front. The Holy Sentai Su has appeared on the battlefield of Tian Yuan City. Oh, he has killed so many great saints of the barbarians and still dares to come to Tian Yuan City? How interesting. The beautiful and delicate female fox Tu Shan Yu was moved. She is a great saint at the 4th level and also has a senior with a cultivation level of great saint at the 5th level. He is an acquaintance of Xiao Zhan named Tian Zhen Jun. Tu Shan Yu asked the woman, "Are there any protectors next to Xiao Zhan?" "Report, my lord, no protectors have been detected. Only a low saint female companion is with him." Hearing this, Tu Shan Yu smiled and replied, "I understand, you may leave." At this point, a sense of pride arose in her mind as she thought, "Elder brother always says Xiao Zhan is very cunning and treacherous. Could it be that he really won't bring any protectors?" After thinking for a moment, Tu Shan Yu called out, "King Su." As soon as he finished speaking, a beautiful figure with a graceful appearance and natural beauty slowly emerged from behind the ancient Tu San tree. There is a disciple. She is Tu Shan King Su, the disciple of Tu Shan Yu, who had previously been transformed by demonic Chu and is now secretly hiding within the demon tribe as an informant for demonic Chu. Tu Shan Yu smiled at Tu Shan King Su and said, "I am very interested in this kid Xiao Zhan, so I have decided to go find him. Are you willing to accompany me?" Hearing this, Tu Shan King Su was slightly taken aback. A flash of red light appeared in her eyes and then disappeared. She respectfully replied to her master, "If master wants to go, the disciple naturally must follow." Tu Shan Yu nodded and smiled happily. "My concealment technique is unrivaled in the world. Even if a divine king is nearby, it is extremely difficult to detect. On the contrary, there is no need to worry about being exposed. I must go see what kind of person this Xiao Zhan is to make even my elder brother wary. In Tian Yuan City, this place is the frontline battlefield of the clans. Due to years of war, it has been broken down into 72 combat zones. At this moment, Xiao Zhan, along with Lu King Yu and Lu Yi, are slowly walking on Battlefield 35. The area is painted with cracks, the river is dry, and everywhere is scattered with white bones and covered in thick snow. The air is filled with a foul stench. After wandering for a while in search of a small space that Elder we mentioned, Lu Yi suddenly stopped. Her light blue eyes gazed into the distance as if she could see something. She slightly parted her lips and calmly said, "I have discovered the small space you mentioned." Hearing this, demonic Chu's eyes immediately lit up, and he quickly turned to look at Lu Yi, asking, "Did you find it?" "After 3 days, I've finally found it. I thought I might never find it." Lu Yi nodded, but this space is concealed by a powerful formation and only appears during the Blood Moon Night. Xiao Zhan frowned slightly and continued to ask Lu Yi, "Is there a way to open it directly?" Lu Yi replied, "Of course there is, but it will take some time. Just wait here for me for a few hours." After saying this, Lu Yi took a step forward and instantly disappeared from the spot, heading to an unknown location. While waiting for Lu Yi to return, demonic Shu found a nearby dry tree and leaned against it, thinking to himself, "Waiting here is just a waste of time. I might as well find some monster race members to kill for fun. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed from a nearby location where Xiao Zhan was standing. Demonic Chu subtly turned his gaze towards the source of the explosion, thinking to himself, "Oh, there's a battle between the human and demon races. I must go check it out." After saying this, Demonic Chu released various mysterious talismans beneath his feet, and with a few shakes of his body, found himself standing on top of a nearby mountain. From above, Demonic Chu looked down and indeed saw a group of humans battling against a group of demons. The leaders of both sides were small saints, while the others had cultivation levels no higher than the great peak of godly power realm. Demonic Chu smirked, thinking, "They're fighting fiercely. The little saint of the human race has suppressed the little saint of the snake demon race. At this rate, within about 10 moves, the little saint of the human race will be able to kill the opponent." Just then, a streak of sword light sliced through the sky and struck down. The humans immediately changed their expressions, quickly raising their hands to form protective seals in front of them, but still, the sword light sent them flying backward. Blood gushed from their mouths. Where the sword light struck the ground, a deep and long trench was formed. In an instant, the ambusher stood in front of the demon group. He exuded a powerful aura. He was a late-stage small saint, wielding a dark red blood sword, the blade thin yet extraordinarily sharp. The chilling glimmer made one shiver down their spine. As soon as he appeared, he immediately laughed triumphantly at his companions behind him. "Ha ha, Ming Shi. I am not late." The demon clan member Ming Shi immediately complained to Qi Yuan. "Why did you arrive now? If you had come any later, I fear I would have been killed by those detestable humans." Qi Yuan had an ugly appearance, his body covered by a layer of golden fur. Hearing Ming Shi, Qi Yuan continued to laugh heartily. "Ha ha ha, Ming Shi. Do not be angry. You know, I was delayed because of that woman Liu Hongyi. She has been causing chaos in Tianyao City lately, and I had to rush here. After the sweep of Liu Hongyi is over, we can deal with other matters later. First, let's eliminate this group of humans." Ming Shi immediately replied, "Good." Above, Demonic Chu frowned at the name Liu Hongyi and thought to himself, "Liu Hongyi." Immediately after, he jumped down from the top of the mountain. He stood firm in the air, a terrifying aura emanating from Demonic Chu, suppressing the entire scene and forcing all of them to stop their movements simultaneously. Ming Shi pointed at Xiao Zhan in the air, his face filled with horror as he exclaimed, "It's a human!" Shui Yuan, hearing this, was startled and turned to look at Xiao Zhan. His pupils immediately contracted. "Who is he?" Xiao Zhan had a blank expression, not saying a word, and directly took action. He raised his right hand. Lost in thought, Xiao Zhan suddenly heard a gentle voice in his head. "My lord, I am King Su." Xiao Zhan glanced back at Tushan King Su, who was standing behind him, and asked through sound transmission, "Why are you here?" Tushan King Su respectfully replied, "My lord, I came here with my master. She is interested in you and had me come along to find you." Demonic Chu subtly smiled to himself, thinking, "When I want to sleep, someone brings me a pillow. Just when I'm unsure of how to safely enter Tianyao City, a great saint appears at my doorstep." After thinking this, Xiao Zhan's figure flickered and disappeared on the spot. Seeing this, Tushan King Su transmitted to Tushan Yu, "Master, he has gone." Tushan Yu immediately stepped out from thin air. "Who will follow him?" After a while, Tushan Yu and Tushan King Zhu caught up with Xiao Zhan. Their appearances had changed, looking no different from ordinary humans. Both were wearing tattered clothes, dirty, and looking quite disheveled. Two people standing together in one place do not resemble a master and disciple. Instead, they look more like a pair of sisters. After calculating the path, Xiao Zhan must take Tushan Yu is waiting here for Xiao Zhan to walk right into the trap. As soon as she sees Xiao Zhan approaching, Tushan King Su immediately calls out, "Senior brother." Xiao Zhan recognizes the two people as soon as he sees them, but pretends to be surprised and asks, "Who are you? Why are you blocking my way?" Tushan King Su quickly grabs Tushan Yu's hand and holds it tightly. She slightly bows to Xiao Zhan and feigns a frightened expression, saying, "We hope senior brother can help us." Tushan Yu echoes her, showing a distressed and pitiful face, looking at Xiao Zhan with a weak voice. "Senior brother, please help us." In her heart, Tushan Yu sneers, thinking, "I am truly impressive. First, let's clarify whether he has any protectors around him. If not, I will immediately capture him and take him to Tianyao City. Ha ha ha. If I can auction off the holy son of Tai Su from the human race, I can definitely get a good price. At that time, my senior brother will surely look at me differently. He stresses over the holy son of Tai Su. Yeah, I can capture him so easily. Just the thought of it is thrilling." Xiao Zhan's expression was calm as he looked at Tushan Yu, and Tushan King Su smiled and said, "I can save you, but you must tell me your names and backgrounds." Demonic Chu sneered inwardly, thinking, Tu Yu's acting skills are not bad. It's just a pity that in front of best actor Demonic Chu, you're still inexperienced. Noticing that Xiao Zhan was about to fall into the trap, Tu Yu took a step forward, gently clutching her chest with her right hand, her tearful eyes expressing pity as she said, "My name is Tu Yu, and this is my sister. Her name is Tu Xiu. We are the wives of the soldier Chen Ba from Tian Yuan City. 2 months ago, our husband suddenly went missing on the Tian Yuan battlefield. We were extremely worried, so we specifically came here to find him. Unfortunately, we were targeted by the demon tribe on the way. Tu Yu provided a very convincing reason with no apparent flaws. There indeed was a cultivator named Shen Ba in Tian Yuan City who went missing 2 months ago. His wife had also come here to search for him. Tu Yu had clearly left nothing to chance. But regrettably, one who thinks of 1,000 things will inevitably overlook something. She could never have expected that Tushan King Su, her own disciple, was the traitor. If that were not the case, Demonic Chu would probably have been deceived by her as well." Xiao Zhan maintained a calm expression and casually asked the two women, "Then why are you blocking my way?" Tu Yu hurriedly replied, "Dao brother, there are demon clans chasing after us. We implore you to help us." Tu Yu spoke with a hint of nervousness and fear. Her acting was truly exquisite. Xiao Zhan frowned slightly in thought for a moment, then responded, "I can help you, but you must tell me what level the demon clan pursuing you is at so that I can come up with a countermeasure." Tu Yu's eyes shimmered as she turned slightly. She pretended to think and then said, "Yuer doesn't know. They are too strong." "Suer, do you know?" Tushan King Su, upon hearing this, cooperated with her. She also pretended to think and then said to Xiao Zhan, "Dao brother, our levels are low, and we cannot discern the specific level of that demon clan. We only know that they can easily tear apart the void to travel." Xiao Zhan pretended to stroke his chin in deep thought. A hint of worry appeared in his holy voice. "Based on your descriptions, that person is at least a great saint." At this point, Demonic Chu immediately shot a suspicious glance at Tushan Yu and Tushan King Su, asking, "With your current cultivation level, how could you provoke a great saint?" Hearing Xiao Zhan's question, Tushan Yu was taken aback and felt a pang of anxiety. In her heart, she couldn't help but think angrily, "He's so calm. There must be a protector by his side. Perhaps a great saint is accompanying him. Tai Su couldn't possibly be his protector. However, the protector seems to be absent at the moment. Otherwise, I would have sensed it for sure." Thinking of this, Tushan Yu unexpectedly moved closer to Xiao Zhan. She grabbed his hand, her eyes brimming with tears as she said, "Dao brother, you don't know that Fox Demon is very lecherous. When he saw how good-looking the two of us are, he had bad intentions, wanting to capture us both, and then, as soon as Tu Yu said this, Xiao Zhan's expression instantly turned cold. He began to act out, interrupting angrily. "The demon clan is truly despicable. They know how to play me even better than I do." As soon as the words were spoken, Tushan Yu and Tushan King Shu both froze in shock. The two didn't expect Xiao Zhan to say such a thing. Their faces suddenly turned bright red from embarrassment. Although Tushan Yu appeared to be shy on the outside, inside she snorted coldly, secretly thinking, "So the Tai Su Holy Son is just a lustful man." At this moment, Xiao Zhan unexpectedly reached out to hold Tushan Yu's arm, pretending to be angry. "What does that love clan look like?" Hearing Xiao Zhan's question, Tushan Yu was a bit taken aback. She pretended to be aggrieved and replied, "He looks very handsome, has silver hair, a pair of fox ears, and 9 tails behind him." Based on Tushan Yu's description, Xiao Zhan continued to ask, "Does he have a birthmark in the middle of his forehead?" Tushan Yu was surprised, her eyes widening in a cute way as she looked at Xiao Zhan and asked, "How do you know?" Demonic Chu scoffed. "Surprisingly, it's Tian Mian Jun. This guy better not carry the Tushan surname anymore and should change it to Tao." Tushan Yu looked at Xiao Zhan, her eyes filled with curiosity as she asked, "Why is that?" Xiao Zhan replied, "I know a boss with the surname Tao. His favorite thing is other people's wives. This person is no different from Tian Mian Jun in terms of interests." Hearing Xiao Zhan's answer mentioning Tian Mian Jun, who is also his brother, Tushan Yu looked surprised. "You know that name from the demon clan?" Demonic Chu replied nonchalantly with a smile, "Of course." At this point, Xiao Zhan took Tushan Yu's hand with one hand and waved for Tushan King Su to come closer with the other. His face was full of joy as he said, "All right, you two follow me, I will protect you." After saying this, Xiao Zhan, along with Tushan King Su and Tushan Yu, quickly left. The three of them walked on the white snow, moving forward. Quietly following behind Xiao Zhan, Tu Shan Yu smiled smugly and thought to herself, I have used my divine sense several times already, and within hundreds of thousands of miles, there is definitely no one whose cultivation surpasses mine, if that's the case. Thinking of this, Tu Shan Yu decided not to hide her identity any longer. She suddenly stopped, slowly bowed her head, her shoulders trembling slightly, and then covered her mouth with her small hand and let out a strange laugh. So knave, so very knave. Xiao Zhan was startled and turned to look back. His face was filled with doubt as he asked Tu Shan Yu, What's wrong with you? Demonic Chu thought to herself, not pretending anymore. Tu Shan Yu raised her head, her fierce expression fixed on Xiao Zhan. She could not hide her excitement inside. It was hard to believe that the old man in Keika's mouth was so arrogant, conceited, and foolish. Coming to Tian Yuan battlefield alone without bringing any protectors with him was truly disappointing. As Tu Shan Yu spoke, she removed her headscarf, revealing cascading silver white hair that nearly touched the ground, and a pair of fluffy red fox ears atop her head, making her look incredibly cute. The torn lower part of her dress transformed into a seductive red split gown. On her left wrist appeared a pair of delicate bells that chimed softly when they clinked together. She wore a smug smile. Ha ha ha! Xiao Zhan, you've been tricked. I am the great Saint Tu Shan from before. It was all a deception to you. I was just probing to see if you had protectors nearby. Now, let me ask you, are you angry? Are you scared? Ha ha ha. Go ahead and scream. Even if you cry out until your throat is hoarse, no one will save you. Try to run. Even if you break your legs, you won't escape my grasp. Tu Shan Yu turned to Tu Shan King Su, continuing her triumphant grin. Disciple, don't you think so? Tu Shan King Su stood silently in place without speaking. Her gaze was fixed on Xiao Zhan, unblinking. Sensing that something was off, Tu Shan Yu furrowed her brows and turned to King Su, asking, Disciple, why are you smiling? As soon as she finished speaking, she realized the unusual expression on her disciple's face. She immediately turned to look at Xiao Zhan and saw him standing there nonchalantly with an indifferent expression, which startled Tu Shan Yu and made her exclaim, Xiao Zhan, why are you not afraid? Your expression shouldn't be like that. You should be panicking and shouting. At that moment, Tu Shan King Su unexpectedly spoke up. I'm sorry, master. Actually, I am a spy. After saying this, she slowly walked over to Xiao Zhan's side. As soon as King Su's words left her lips, Tu Shan Yu's beautiful face suddenly stiffened, large question marks appearing in her mind. She felt she must have misheard. King Su, what are you talking about? Tu Shan King Su did not answer. She gently shook her head and stood firmly beside Xiao Zhan. Seeing this, Tu Shan Yu took a few steps back, her face filled with disbelief as she looked at King Su. It can't be. Absolutely impossible. The obedient disciple she had nurtured herself could not possibly be a spy. King Su, are you being threatened by Xiao Zhan? Don't be afraid, just speak up, your master can help you. But in response to her question was the image of demonic Chu, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He gently caressed Tu Shan King Su's cheek as if petting a kitten. Her obedient disciple not only did not feel uncomfortable, but on the contrary, seemed to enjoy it very much. Her eyes were filled with infatuation as she gazed at Xiao Zhan intently. A flush appeared on her face, and her soft body leaned gently against Xiao Zhan's chest, her red lips whispering, My lord. Her voice was soft and tender, like a kitten whining to its owner. Witnessing this scene completely shattered Tu Shan Yu's illusion. She was stunned, shaking her head in denial. No, it can't be possible. Tu Shan Yu's pupils narrowed as she glared at Xiao Zhan, her voice filled with murderous intent questioning him. You dog thief, what have you done to King Zhu? Without waiting for Xiao Zhan's reply, Tu Shan King Zhu immediately frowned. Coldly, she addressed Tu Shan Yu. I remind you, master, to show some respect to my lord. Meanwhile, demonic Chu held Tu Shan King Su close, a look of pride on his face. Hearing King Su's words, Tu Shan Yu's anger flared as she pointed a finger directly at Tu Shan King Su, shouting furiously, Tu Shan King Su, do you know what you are doing? I am your master. Do you dare to insult me? What kind of potion has he given you? How could you disregard everything and dare to betray your own master? Despite Tu Shan Yu's incessant complaints, Tu Shan King Zhu unexpectedly placed a kiss on Xiao Zhan's cheek. After expressing her feelings towards Xiao Zhan, Tu Shan King Zhu turned to Tu Shan Yu, extending her hand towards her with a smile and inviting Le Shuo Dao. That day, I have achieved the supreme great Dao, master. You should come join us. Tu Shan Yu could no longer hold back. Her small hand immediately swung up. On her pale wrist, there was a pair of bronze bells. The sound of the two bells clashing rang continuously. Next, an infinite amount of Zhuan began to pour out from the bronze bells endlessly. Tu Shanyu made her move with a grand display. She intended to kill Xiao Zhan on the spot, leaving him no chance to resist. Tian Qiong Zhan once said, Xiao Zhan is cunning. When confronting him, the best approach is to strike with a single fatal blow, or else there will be repercussions. With a voice filled with anger, Tu Shanyu shouted, Good, very good, and what's supreme, great Tao? After today, I will kill this brat and then take you back. I want to see what kind of monster has enchanted you. Xiao Zhan immediately frowned. He still couldn't face a great saint head-on, not to mention that Tu Shanyu was a great saint at the middle stage. However, demonic Chu showed no fear. His expression remained calm and composed. Xiao Zhan snorted coldly, What kind of big move are you trying to use right from the start? After saying that, Xiao Zhan clenched his fists, his face serious as if he was preparing to unleash a powerful move in response. At the moment when Tu Shanyu thought that Xiao Zhan was going to show some life-saving technique, demonic Chu suddenly threw his head back and shouted loudly, Liu Yi, save me. Tu Shanyu was taken aback upon hearing this. At first, she thought Xiao Zhan would fight back with all of his might, but unexpectedly, he called for help. This scene was far from the attitude of a holy son of the human race who was cheered by everyone. But Tu Shanyu quickly regained her composure. She didn't care who Xiao Zhan was calling for. The first thing she needed to do was kill this brat. Tu Shanyu's arm continued its movements, and she unleashed a heavenly light aimed at Xiao Zhan, wanting to crush him into fine powder. At this moment, Liu Yi emerged from the void. The terrifying aura of Liu Yi instantly shattered Tu Shanyu's earth-shattering attack. Tu Shanyu's body immediately froze in place, unable to even blink. Liu Yi slowly descended from above, standing in front of Xiao Zhan. She crossed her arms over her chest, her expression cold as she stared directly at Tu Shanyu, causing her to tremble involuntarily. Tu Shanyu felt the overwhelming aura emanating from Liu Yi, and her blood-red pupils instantly constricted. Her heart raced wildly, beating continuously and seemingly wanting to leap out of her chest. This was not ordinary fear, but an instinctive reaction when facing a more powerful being, even if it was just a fleeting glance from this woman. Tu Shanyu also sensed her own blood stopping its flow, her heart beating frantically as if it were about to explode. This feeling left Tu Shanyu horrified, making her scalp tingle. Previously, even when facing Silver Moon Butterfly Mountain, she had never felt such pressure. Tu Shanyu took a few steps back, her eyes filled with fear as she thought, My brother once told me that there could be a supreme divinity protecting Xiao Zhan. Could this woman be the supreme divinity my brother spoke of? It has to be her. Otherwise, there would be no way to exert such terrifying pressure on me. Is this the legendary supreme divinity? She listens to Xiao Zhan. Could it be that Xiao Zhan knows hypnosis? Xiao Zhan unexpectedly pointed his finger straight at Tu Shanyu. Liu Yi sealed a little fox's cultivation. Hearing this, Tu Shanyu angrily shouted, You are the little fox. Your whole family is little foxes. Liu Yi did not say much. She slowly walked towards Tu Shanyu. Her arm gently raised, her index finger pointed out, directly touching the forehead of Tu Shanyu. A flash of blue-purple light suddenly appeared and then disappeared. Tu Shanyu could not resist. She only felt her soul and all her cultivation being imprisoned by an invisible force. In an instant, her cultivation was lost, and Tu Shanyu was now no different from a mortal. She felt deep regret, tears flowing from her forehead. Hu! Brother was right. This Xiao Zhan is not simple. Tu Shanyu was greatly panicked. Seeing Xiao Zhan slowly approaching her, she instinctively shrank back. Her 9 foxtails immediately stood upright. She tried to appear fierce and threatened. Don't come over here, I am very fierce. Even though my cultivation has been sealed, I still know how to bite. Xiao Zhan smiled wryly at this, gently pinching Tu Shanyu's cheek. Oh, if you have the ability, then bite me. Without any cultivation, let's see how fierce you can really be. Tu Shanyu bared her teeth and glared at Xiao Zhan, revealing her sharp fangs as she angrily shouted, I still have the innate divine talent of the fox tribe. I will bite you to death. Xiao Zhan smirked, exerting force to lift Tu Shanyu's cheek, causing her great pain. The little fox felt humiliated by Xiao Zhan. She vowed in her heart that if she could escape, she would definitely cut Xiao Zhan into 100,000 pieces. At that moment, Tu Shan King Su walked over to Tu Shanyu. She smiled and spoke to encourage her. Master, don't cry anymore. My lord has a primordial sacred constitution. You may lose to him, but you don't need to feel disappointed. Just wait a moment, and you will definitely thank my lord. Hearing this, Tu Shanyu shouted angrily, Shut up! She shot a glare at Chu King Su, then turned to Xiao Zhan and said furiously, "If I have fallen into your hands, consider it my bad luck. Come on. I, Chu Yu, will absolutely not back down." Xiao Zhan also did not want to say much. He suddenly raised his arm, and from the palm of his hand, a blood-colored sphere shot out immediately, looking extremely strange. As soon as the blood-colored sphere appeared, Chu Yu instinctively felt fear and immediately stepped back a few paces. She did not know what this was. It was beyond her understanding. But deep within her heart, an overwhelming sense of fear arose. This was a primal instinct of fear that penetrated to the bone. Lu Yi, standing to the side, was also startled upon witnessing this scene. She raised her head and looked at Xiao Zhan's blood-colored sphere, questioning to herself, "What is this? Is it a godly skill seed? How can there be such a peculiar godly skill seed?" Lu Yi immediately closed her eyes. She wanted to carefully sense Xiao Zhan's godly skill seed because from her perspective, there was no way to penetrate what was above Xiao Zhan's head. However, she could feel a powerful limit of the great Tao being nurtured, as if the entire universe wanted to gather upon Xiao Zhan himself. Lu Yi smiled gently, thinking to herself, "This is the different Tao that the little brat mentioned. No wonder he carries the blood-colored fortune. He is indeed extraordinary." At this moment, the crimson blood threads above Xiao Zhan were slowly cascading down, each peculiar strand of dark red energy gently wrapping around Chu Yu's body. Below, Chu Yu watched in horror, struggling relentlessly, her limbs thrashing wildly, but she could not escape. These strands of blood-red energy made her feel a deep fear rising from the core of her soul. Facing it felt akin to confronting a fierce and hungry wild beast. Chu Yu kept shouting loudly, "What is this? Let me go." After a while, the strands of blood-red energy had coiled around Chu Yu's body, nearly enveloping her entirely, gradually forming a blood-red cocoon. At this moment, a satisfied smile appeared on Chu Yu's face. The transformation was about to begin. Time slowly passed, and after 3 hours, the blood-red energy cocoon surrounding Chu Yu's body finally showed a crack. The deep red energy began to fade to a lighter red. Demonic Chu's face was pale, his brows furrowed as he let out a breath, thinking to himself, "Transforming a great saint is much harder than transforming someone like Chu King Su from the godly power realm. The consumption is also much greater. It feels like I have been completely drained." After many hours of continuous cracking, the vibrant cocoon of Chu Yu finally shattered completely, revealing Chu Yu standing inside with a distinct aura. Lu Yi witnessed this scene and couldn't hide her astonishment as she exclaimed, "If my conjecture is correct, back then you twisted and changed her path, superimposing her path onto yours like this, then your existence to her is no different than the heavenly Tao to an ordinary cultivator. No wonder Chu King Su, that little fox spirit, relies on you, depends on you, and is so loyal to you. Ordinary cultivators are all in accordance with the heavenly Tao. Beneath it, they proceed a part of the great Tao, and from there they rely on the heavenly Tao and hold it in reverence. But you are different. The path you take is an entirely different path, as if you are becoming a second heavenly Tao, or you could say you want to transcend the heavenly Tao." At this moment, demonic Chu had recovered quite a bit. Hearing Lu Yi's clear analysis, the corner of his mouth curled up in a smile as he glanced at Lu Qingyu and said, "Lu Yi, have you figured it out?" Lu Yi took a deep breath. She did not reply. Lu Qingyu inside her internal body was also shaken to the point of being speechless. Both of them were inwardly astonished, secretly thinking, "This little brother, Xiao Zhan, is trying to against the heaven." Lu Yi was slightly shaken, but at this moment, she appeared calm and nodded towards Xiao Zhan, saying, "Your path is unique and extremely powerful. Yet when you achieve supreme divinity, you will likely have to face the terrifying backlash from Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao is indifferent. It has no consciousness, but it absolutely will not allow a great path to stand alongside itself, exist, or permit beings beyond its control." Demonic Chu nodded in agreement. This was also a concern he had always worried about. Sister Lu had once said that divine kings, upon reaching the supreme divinity realm, would harmonize their path with heavenly Tao. But he was different. When he reached the supreme divinity realm, the world would give rise to an independent path, transcending heavenly Tao, not subject to its management. Calling it a second, heavenly Tao would be more accurate. The emergence of such a path clearly goes against the laws governing heaven and earth and is not allowed to exist. Furthermore, since heavenly Tao has always been in opposition to humanity, how could it permit the emergence of a being on par with itself? It would undoubtedly find every means to eliminate it. At this point, Xiao Zhan slightly tilted his head and looked up at the sky, smiling as he said, "Heaven does not close all doors. Humans will definitely find a way to solve it. On this side, Tu Shan Yu finally woke up. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw Xiao Zhan standing in front of her. Noticing that the other was quietly looking at her, Tu Shan Yu naturally felt a surge of instinctive submission, completely overshadowing her previous hatred. At this moment, all that remained was intimacy and reverence. In Tu Shan Yu's eyes, Xiao Zhan was no longer an ordinary person but the creator of the universe. Tu Shan Yu joyfully ran to Xiao Zhan, happily saying, "My lord, thank you for granting me a new life." Xiao Zhan gently reached out to pet her head, his face filled with tenderness. "Good girl." Tu Shan Yu displayed an expression of great enjoyment, exuding love. At this moment, Tu Shan King Zhu also approached, smiling happily at Tu Shan Yu. "Congratulations, master, on receiving new life." Tu Shan Yu immediately shot a glare at Tu Shan King Zhu, puffing her cheeks and pouting, her voice carrying a hint of complaint. "You, my disciple, have long submitted to my lord, yet you said nothing to master. Otherwise, master, I would have already become my lord's little fox." "Hey, Tu Shan Yu is so adorable." Hearing this, Tu Shan King Zhu could only smile wryly, thinking to herself, "If I had told you earlier, wouldn't you have just killed me with a single blow?" Lu Yi had been silently observing Tu Shan Yu. She stroked her chin and commented, "Indeed, it's a miraculous transformation. The bloodline within this little fox is about to revert." Tu Shan Yu was taken aback and looked at Lu Yi with hopeful eyes. "Senior, do you know my ancestors?" Lu Yi nodded in response. The nine-tailed heaven fox achieved supreme divinity during the primordial era. She was very powerful, able to compete with the butterfly lord. Now that your bloodline has reverted, you have some potential to achieve supreme divinity. Hearing this, Tu Shan Yu's face was filled with joy. She immediately jumped up, hugged Xiao Zhan tightly, wrapped her arms around his neck, and boldly kissed demonic Chu on the cheek. In a voice brimming with happiness, Tu Shan Yu said, "Thank you, my lord, for giving Shan Yu a new life." Demonic Chu was taken aback by this unexpected action from Tu Shan Yu and was left standing there, unable to react. He could only begrudgingly stay still while she did as she pleased. At this moment, Tu Shan Yu still held tightly onto Xiao Zhan's neck and playfully said, "My lord." Seeing Tu Shan Yu hesitate to speak, Xiao Zhan looked at her in confusion and asked, "What's wrong?" Tu Shan Yu's beautiful face slightly flushed. She looked at Xiao Zhan and softly said, "Can you grant my elder brother a new life? Right now, he's neither man nor woman. It's so frustrating. Shan Yu implores you." Tu Shan Yu's lovely and charming plea made demonic Chu reluctant to refuse. He could only divert the topic. "We can talk about it later." Lu Yi, upon hearing this, gently reminded Xiao Zhan, "Your Tao is still too immature right now. You cannot bear the great Tao of the two great saints. Wait until your Tao is perfected and stands independently outside of heaven and earth that you can break through your limits. At that time, regardless of who it is, you will be able to transform them, and there won't be any limit on quantity." Xiao Zhan slightly furrowed his brow and thought, so that's how it is. No wonder it felt somewhat difficult to transform Tu Shan Yu. Hearing this, Tu Shan Yu's eyes showed a hint of sadness as she said, "Then doesn't that mean my elder brother will lose the chance for a new life? Elder brother, I'm so sorry. I have taken your place, but rest assured in the future when there is a chance, I will definitely ask my lord to transform you." At this moment, Xiao Zhan turned to Lu Yi and asked, "How is that small space over there?" Lu Yi replied nonchalantly, "I was just about to break the seal of that small space when I had to come and save you. If the matter has been resolved, then I will continue to break the seal. You all wait here for me for 3 hours." After saying this, Lu Yi lifted the seal on Tu Shan Yu's cultivation, her figure gradually fading away before disappearing. Tu Shan Yu immediately turned to Xiao Zhan and suggested, "My lord, 3 hours is too boring. How about we do something?" Demonic Chu, hearing this, was startled and asked, "What do you want to do?" A flush instantly appeared on Tu Shan Yu's face. She cheerfully replied, "Master, our Tu Shan clan has a technique that can increase the speed of cultivation." Upon hearing Tu Shan Yu's words, Xiao Zhan's mind immediately envisioned the prospect of dual cultivation, exchanging techniques simultaneously with the two little foxes. His face could not hide his excitement and anticipation. Xiao Zhan smiled slyly. "All right, then let's find a quiet place to cultivate." 3 hours later, the earth and sky shook as Lu Yi finally returned, her expression calm. She had successfully broken the hidden seal of that small space. Lu Yi cast her gaze forward where Xiao Zhan was sitting in meditation. Beside him were Tu Shan Yu and Tu Shan King Su, all three of them panting, their faces showing a layer of blush. Lu Yi frowned slightly with an unusual expression in his eyes, looking at the two little foxes and inevitably breaking into a cold sweat, secretly thinking, could it be that they took advantage of the time earlier to do that? This kid is really too overbearing. At that moment, Xiao Zhan hurriedly coughed once, pretending to instruct Tu Shan Yu. Am, you two wait for me here. Don't let anyone come near. Tu Shan Yu, still not fully recovered from the residual effects, looked at Xiao Zhan with a blushing face and obediently replied, yes, my lord. After giving all the instructions, Xiao Zhan quickly entered that small space with Lu Yi. Once the two of them were out of sight, Tu Shan Yu turned to glare at Tu Shan King Su and whispered angrily, you little girl, since when did you learn those techniques earlier? Tu Shan King Su's face turned red, and she shyly responded in a soft voice, I just learned it recently. I have a book. Do you want to see it, master? Tu Shan Yu quickly extended her small hand. Why aren't you giving it to me to see? King Su immediately took out the secret manual and handed it to her master, then recalled the earlier encounter with Xiao Zhan. Her small face continued to flush red. At the same time, Xiao Zhan was taken into the small space by Lu Yi. He finally saw the corpse of the primordial sacred constitution. Before him was a shimmering golden lake. In the center of the lake stood a jade platform. Sitting cross-legged on the jade platform was a person. Judging by the figure, it was undoubtedly a man. He wore a silver robe, his head drooping limply, but he was not dead, merely in a deep sleep. He emanated a powerful aura that filled the entire small space. Xiao Zhan stood on the distant shore and could also feel the pressure approaching. He slightly frowned, silently thinking, my heartbeat is too rapid. The blood within my body is boiling. At the blood-red starry river in the Taoist palace, my spirit is trembling. Is this shaking caused by excitement? Could this be the feeling of being of the same origin and resonance, truly worthy of being the primordial sacred constitution? Even after so many years of death, the body shows no signs of decay. He was probably a unique powerhouse when alive. He gives me a marvelous feeling. The quality of the sacred body might even be higher than mine, possibly a fully realized sacred body. Xiao Zhan quietly pondered. He reached out and placed his hand on the shoulder of the primordial sacred constitution's skeleton, gently taking hold of this body and lifting it up, preparing to proceed with devouring. However, Xiao Zhan's pupils suddenly twitched as he discovered that there were characters left on the ground ahead. Xiao Zhan was startled and thought to himself, there are still inscriptions. This is not the script of the primordial period, but rather the most common writing of the last few 100,000 years. Unfortunately, as Xiao Zhan read through a series of recorded information, his pupils flickered with confusion. What does this mean? Dupu Bai Tian said that the holy body cannot become a holy emperor. Could it be created by someone else? There is too much thick fog and so many secrets that I cannot clarify because I am currently too weak. Forget it, no need to think too much. It's better to quickly devour the primordial sacred constitution. Xiao Zhan began to close his eyes. Above his head, a blood-red sphere gradually emerged. The blood-red threads descended onto the body of the primordial sacred constitution, beginning the devouring process. Although it went fairly smoothly, Xiao Zhan remained vigilant. As soon as he sensed something was wrong, he would immediately stop the devouring. Minutes passed, and there was no sign of any abnormalities throughout. This made Xiao Zhan feel a little more at ease. Suddenly, his gaze paused. It seemed that Xiao Zhan had noticed something. He smirked slightly and thought, Dupu Bai Tian is really good at making calculations. A few breaths later, from within the body of that corpse, an elderly soul emerged. It was Du Gu Bai Tian. The old man Du Gu appeared, accompanied by a voice filled with age and astonishment. You are indeed extraordinary. You could even detect the anomaly. Demonic Chu coldly replied, from the very beginning, I sensed something was off. Back then, when Elderby was still in the godly power realm, how could he possibly bear the pressure of the great sacred body and leave in peace? No matter how many tens of thousands of years that sacred body has been dead, it still shouldn't be possible. Du Hu Bai Tian remained silent for a moment before gently nodding and saying, so that's it, you are absolutely right. It is also quite normal. I waited here for hundreds of years for that person to show some vulnerability, which is also normal. But in the end, didn't it still lead you here? I have waited far too long for this day. Finally, you who could devour the primordial sacred constitution have appeared. Indeed, my wait has not been in vain. Ha! Young man, hand over your body to me. Demonic Chu kept a calm expression, lifting the corner of his mouth into a smile as he replied, I have a supreme divinity protector outside. If you wish to seize my body, it won't be easy.